thousands of calories in it. It'll keep you going all day long. And the way you can process those beans, the way I've done it, is I have a hollow log that's hollowed out part way, and a huge log with a flat end for a pounder. You put your mesquite beans in there. Make sure that they're very dry. If they're not dry, the gum and the mesquite beans will stick together and you won't be able to pound them into a flour. They'll just all stick into a big ball.
Take them out of the pods?
You don't have to take them out of the pod. We are actually pounding up is not the seeds. The seeds are very hard and you normally don't use them. And you're going to discard them at a later part of this process.
Okay.
Put your mesquite beans in the big hollow log. Or in West Texas, they would grind them in stone mortars. Sometimes they would use them for so long, the stone mortars would become this deep. Remember, all they had was stone tools, so it took a long time for them to drill through that much stone by hand. But they put them in those stone mortars and pound them. And it doesn't take long to pound them. And when you pound them, it separates the pulp, which is going to be dry. That's going to be your flour. It separates that from the seed coverings, which look like little clams. There's two halves covering each seed. They're hard, about this big. You separate those, and you separate the seeds too. And after that, you can either separate them kind of by winnowing, but this wouldn't work as well for mesquite. But the way I've done it is through sifting. So the flour is going to be nice and fine. You can sift it, and you can put it through progressively smaller sifters to get the kind of fine flour that you want. And you can actually make cookies, pancakes, anything with these. Absolutely wonderful. It's already got its own natural sweetener too.
Did you say it's a mesquite?
Yes,
tree?
the honey mesquite.
Honey mesquite.
So can you not take the beans and just dry them and put them through like a
The actual
flour
seeds
mill,
themselves,
the whole thing?
the seeds themselves are tiny and they're incredibly hard. And I have used them. It's extremely hard to pound because they just shoot out. They're so hard they don't want to be crushed. They just pop out in every direction. But you could probably run them through a mill. The way they process them in Arizona is with a hammer mill. You have a round disc with heavy metal balls attached to it, and it spins around and literally smashes the seeds. So if you have something like that in an industrial mill, you could process them. But another way you could use them is by boiling them for like 5 or 6 hours, and they'll become soft enough to chew.
So is that a tree or?
It's a very large tree.
Is that the mesquite that goes
Yeah,
everywhere?
everywhere.
Down here?
It's the one you see as firewood. It's one of the best firewoods, and you'll see mesquite for sale on the side of the road on trucks
deep
everywhere.
roots that are like impossible to get out.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
can
Them
look on
thorny.
the internet for the history of it and how the people used to use flowers and make their
Yep.
food.
All right, as far as looking on the internet, here's a site that y'all really need to write down. It's called TexasBeyondHistory.net. This is a project of the University of Texas in conjunction with the national parks, Amistad National Park, and the school that I work for, the school that I work at. And they have compiled an enormous resource, thousands of pictures, thousands of articles. It's kind of hard to navigate sometimes. They've got a map of Texas. You click on different areas, and it will go into great detail of how they processed these certain foods, such as mesquite, how they did the earth ovens. Absolutely incredible. Highly recommended. Unfortunately, I don't have any mesquite beans to show you today, or mesquite flour, because I used it all last year. I made cookies, and the Cifuentes ate them all. No, they didn't eat them all, just kidding. They did get to try some, though. Did y'all like them?
Yep.
They were pretty good.
Make some more.
Yeah, I'll make some more this year,
You
if
know,
I'm in
with the
Texas.
economy like it is, last year the kids just started learning about what we could eat if you had to come to that point. And just a very small scale, the mesquite was one of the things that was really interesting to learn about. And the other thing was just the nettle that grows wild all over our yard in Floresville, and to use that as a plant too. But I don't know, you could probably tell more about that.
Now, what kind of, I have one nettle here. I don't know if this is the same kind.
Bull nettle.
Yeah.
We've eaten the root of the bull nettle, Timothy has, but we cut the stinging nettles up and just run them through the blender in smoothies, and they don't sting you if you drink them.
So is this a stinging nettle?
Now, this one is actually a euphorbia. It is called bull nettle. You can eat the roots, but you can also eat the little nuts that it makes. It's going to have green capsules, and inside when they're ripe are nuts.
What
The
about
problem is picking these. I went to cut this plant down yesterday. You touch it, and it feels like you're getting stung by 1,000 jellyfish. They have stinging hairs that shoot acid into you. They're like hypodermic needles. They're hollow, and they shoot this chemical into you. And for like 2 minutes, it feels like your hand's on fire, but then it goes away. It's not like poison ivy where it sticks
my
around for a
friend
while.
Dalila, you were saying that you can use that medicinally by having that stung your.
Do you know what it's used for? What it's used to
Do
treat?
you know what it's used for, Dalila? The stinging nettle? To detox?
Especially in the stomach area.
There's
In the
another-
area that you can.
And it's definitely a really potent plant, so I imagine
There-
it would have some
I
major
don't know
effects.
the.
Yeah, you don't know if that is the one. Yeah, you're saying.
No, I know the plant, but it usually works, I mean, in grows and cold weather. But in tropical, I don't know about the plant area.
There's another way to use it. If somebody has a, what do you call it? Not a heart attack, but a
Stroke?
stroke, and let's say they get a side paralyzed or something, then you put it on them, and it kind of shocks them. So it makes them, it gives them nerve movement again.
Oh, wakes some nerves up?
Yeah, it wakes the nerves up again, because like you said, it's got that, what did you say about the
It's like a hypodermic needle.
hypodermic, so it will do it naturally, okay? So if anybody has a stroke and you know that you need help, you can just get it. You got to use some gloves, because they grow longer too, right? They grow
These plants,
sometimes.
they grow very big.
Right, they grow very big, so you get to go with a glove and then you just go like that.
And the stinging nettles that are right out in our yards, you can use them for spinach in your soups and things like that. It's very high in nutrition.
And the green leaves,
Yes.
I don't know if
If
you
you
have to
strain it?
cook it to get
No,
it.
we
I
just
don't
put it
know.
in raw, and there's something in your saliva. Like Timothy will just eat the stinging nettles plain. He says it's okay as long as it just textures your tongue. If you get it on your lips, it'll burn you. You just eat it raw. But in
Michael, you have a
your
question?
saliva will deactivate it. But we just stick it in the blender and run it through with our fruit or whatever, and it's fine when you
and you
drink
get
it.
strained or you get good?
You don't strain it, you
Oh, okay.
just drink it.
Wow.
And it doesn't bother you with beverage.
Okay, good to know.
David.
That's the thing.
of this.
There's lots.
Here's another poisonous one. I brought it because it's very, very common. Cockleburr is the common name. Scientific name, Xanthium. This one has a different kind of acting toxin. It's not a neurotoxin. This one acts on your metabolic system. It causes hypoglycemia and massive liver failure. So avoid this. And it looks kind of like a sunflower, and the leaves do too, but if you smell them, again, they've got a very distinct odor. And it's got these little burrs that really like to stick to you. If you're walking down the riverbed, you'll see a lot of them. And again, after I'm done, you can come up and have a closer look so you can really become familiar with these plants. Here's another one. I brought it because it's common, not great food value. It's called hop tree. It's got 3 leaves, not a poison ivy though. You smell it, it kind of has either a skunky smell or sometimes a citrusy smell. But some of these little things are used for flavoring sometimes. Here's another favorite. This one's ripe right now, so when y'all go home, definitely look for it. This one is called agarita.
Oh,
And the berries are very tart. They're
I
sour.
like that one.
But they're really cool because they have a lot of natural pectin and gelling agent. So you can blend them up and just let them sit, and you will come back and you'll have jam or like a jello substance. You don't have to do anything to it. You don't have to have sugar, you don't have to have water, just naturally gels. So you can probably add this to other fruits if you want to add it to the dewberries, or if you could dry it somehow and save it to add to the persimmons to make your jam. But if you like tart stuff, if you like lemonade without sugar, this is for you. And then some of them, if you can get them at just the right time, or if you get them from West Texas, they'll be super, super sweet, incredible, better than any juice you could buy from the store. But the best way to harvest them, because they have very prickly leaves, is if you can bang them with a stick, put a big sheet underneath the plant, or a large basket, and hit it with a stick, they'll all fall down, along with stink bugs and things too, but you can filter those out. And then you
What's
can,
it called now?
agarita. The English name is barberry. But the stem itself is kind of a yellow color when you cut it, and it does have a toxin in it. So avoid eating the stems.
Is it like margarita without the M?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. But there's no R. Agarita. No.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Nathan,
Uh-huh.
can you give your testimony of when you were at Shumla and that you guys got
Yeah.
3 or 4
yeah.
pounds?
Yeah, my friends gathered 3 pounds of this stuff and made incredible juice. Absolutely sweet. But the way when they hit it, the leaves fell on 2 of their plants because they're on the desert. And they set up a door at a slanted angle and put a sheet over it. So as they rolled the berries down, the berries would roll down, the sharp prickly leaves would get stuck in the sheet, and they could easily collect the berries.
So that's not poison.
The plant itself does contain poison, but the berries are not poisonous.
Is there any of those that would be lookalikes that we need to watch for that could be poisonous?
I've never seen anything that really looks like this. You'll have things that have similar leaf shapes, but they're not hard, they're not prickly.